Thank you. Thank you for staying until the end. I'm Andreea Dinca. I'm a researcher at the West University of Timisoara in Romania. And I'm going to talk to you about phraseology and how to teach it in ESP writing. So, phraseology widely refers to recurrent word combinations that perform specific discourse functions. I have here on the slide some examples taken from the Manchester Academic Phrase Bank. For example, if we wanted to use a phrase to offer an explanation for some of our findings, we may use some of the phrases that are available here. Now, these recurrent word combinations are referred by various terms in the literature. They are called multi-word units, phraseological units, lexical bundles, collocations, etc. Depending on the study you read, you may find a different name. Now, much of what we know about phraseology comes from corpus-based research, which allows us to identify systematic patterns across large data sets. Okay. In English for specific and English for academic purposes, phraseology plays a key role in academic writing. And it has been shown that successful use of phraseology is a good indicator of both communicative competence and of discourse community membership. Now, university students are usually good when it comes to grammar and lexis in English, but they have difficulties with phraseology, or this is what studies show us. Now, being a pedagogically motivated movement, this field of ESP writing has proposed various resources to improve phraseology. Early corpora-based resources include, for example, academic formulas list or academic phrase banks, and newer phraseological support tools include data-driven learning activities, which enable learners to explore authentic corpus data and inductively identify patterns of usage. Now, usually students explore corpora using teaching-friendly corpus platforms, and I have an example here. There is a screenshot from a platform called Corpus Mate, and here you can search for phrases or for terms. I searched for guys. And the platform retrieves all the concordances containing the word guys from its corpus, and students can act as detectives in discovering patterns of usage, contexts, etc. Here, as you can see, you can select various types of corpora. They have spoken corpora that were transcribed or written texts. You can select academic texts or more of a general language. So you can adapt this platform to the needs of your students. However, a few ESP studies systematically combine learner corpus diagnosis with guided corpus-based exploration in discipline-specific contexts. And we need pedagogical models that link empirical analysis of student writing with phraseology-focused DDL design. Now, what I mean by learner corpus diagnosis is that researchers can study texts written by students to identify their needs. This leads me to the following research questions. First, I want to identify the phraseological patterns that characterize non-native engineering student writing in English compared to proficient models. And second, how can corpus-based findings be transformed into data-driven learning activities for engineering ESP writing instruction? Now, having established the research focus, I will now present the methods I used in this study. So, the main research methodology I used is corpus linguistics, which is the study of language through large collections of authentic texts that we call corpora, and we use computer tools to find patterns, frequencies, and explore contexts in these corpora. This methodology has some strengths that include including language patterns emerge inductively from corpus data. We don't search for predefined structures in advance. We let the data to reveal hidden patterns and phraseology. This methodology also combines quantitative with qualitative data because we can get both statistics and context when we use corpus linguistics tools. When it comes to weaknesses, in corpus linguistics, we are limited by corpus size, so we cannot really research things that are outside of our corpus. So they have to be represented in the corpus. And unfortunately, no corpus fully represents a language, but we can ensure some measures in order to make our corpus as representative as possible. In my study, I have a primary data set that I used. I used the corpus of Romanian academic genres, ROGER for short, which is a learner corpus of Romanian student writing, meaning it contains texts written by Romanian university students across 10 universities in Romania, and it contains university genres such as essays, research papers, BA theses, etc. Now, the full corpus size is about 3 million words, and it includes texts from disciplines such as economics, philology, engineering, political science. Now, for this specific case study, I only took the engineering subcorpus, and I have short academic texts such as essays, documentation, etc. The number of texts is 126, and I have around 200,000 words in it. The authors of these texts are Romanian undergraduate students, and these texts come from English for specific purposes courses. The secondary data set that I used is the BAWE corpus, which is the British Academic Written English Corpus. It's a reference corpus of proficient student writing from British universities. It contains various university genres, and it gathers texts from various disciplines, such as arts and philology, social sciences, life sciences, and physical sciences. The entire corpus is about 6 million words. When it comes to the extraction method I use for phraseological units, I target a specific type of phraseological unit, which is called an n-gram or a lexical bundle. Now, lexical bundles are a very frequent type of multi-word unit. Studies have shown that 21% of words in academic texts are gathered in bundles. Specifically in this text, for this case study, I extracted 3 to 5 word sequences occurring at least 20 times per million words. And I also used an n-gram nesting function to group overlapping bundles. And I did all this using the corpus linguistics tool Sketch Engine. Now, let me walk you through the main findings of my study. I first identified the phraseological pattern in ROGER, that is, how Romanian students write in English, Romanian students coming from the discipline of engineering. And what I found was that Romanian engineering students' academic writing is characterized by a preference for discipline-specific terminology and for procedure describing phraseological units, such as the running time is, array is already sorted, etc. They also use quite a lot of engagement-oriented phrases or reader-oriented phrases, such as the ones I have here. We can see that, as you can see, if you want to, etc. So overall, there is quite a big focus on technical specificity and on engagement-oriented phrases. Now, this is in contrast with what I found in the expert academic writing corpus in BAWE. And here I found that there was a greater use of hedging. Students used a lot of anticipatory it constructions and passive reporting structures. And this, of course, is in alignment with conventional academic argumentation. And I have some examples here on the slide of some of the most frequent phraseological units in BAWE. Now, to compare the two corpora, as I said before, Romanian students demonstrate familiarity with discipline-specific terminology and computational description. Their writing shows a tendency to rely on engagement-oriented and procedure-focused phraseology. In contrast, British students show a greater use of stance and discourse organizing bundles that support argumentation and hedging. And the presentation of claims is in accordance with established academic conventions. Now, having identified let's say, the phraseological profile of Romanian students, what I did next was to propose some corpus-assisted learning activities for EAP writing instruction in order to improve, to help students improve their use of academic phraseology. And paired with this teaching activities, I suggest using the Express Corpus Query platform, which is a platform that we built at our research center that is freely available by following this link. This platform contains a corpus of expert academic writing in English L1, in English L2, written by Romanian scholars, and in Romanian L1. Now, this corpus contains mainly research papers that are taken from high-impact academic journals. We also have 4 disciplines represented here. We have papers from economics, from information technology, from linguistics, and from political science. And the user can select the subcorpus they are interested in. You can, for example, select only English L1 and the discipline of economics. The platform will only retrieve data from those subcorpora. In the screenshot here, I only selected the English L1 subcorpus, and I searched for data suggest, and this is what the platform retrieved from that subcorpus. This platform is free to use. You only need a username and a password, and it can be accessed by everyone from all over the world. Okay, now I'll move on and show you some of the activities that I propose to be used with the Express corpus. These DDL activities target some specific issues. They target the use of impersonal expressions, the use of anticipatory it constructions, and the expression of stance. Now let's take a look at activity 1. So the students are directed to open the Express corpus, select the English L1 subcorpus and the information technology discipline. Since my teaching activities are directed to engineering students, this subcorpus we have called information technology is, let's say, the closest to their discipline. The students are directed to search for these phrases below and observe the contexts in which they appear. And then they should reflect. What do all these expressions have in common when compared to personal expressions, like in my opinion or from my point of view? And of course, a class discussion follows. Then in activity 2, the students are asked to order some phrases from most certain to least certain, and again search the express corpus and write down some sentences containing each phrase. Moving on to the exploring anticipatory it constructions, this exercise uses another function that the Express Corpus platform has, and that is wildcard search. Students are asked to search for these phrases like this. It can be asterisk that and it asterisk be that, and the platform will retrieve phrases such as it can be concluded that, or it can be suggested that. It basically replaces this asterisk with all the possible combinations in this phraseological structure. Now, after that, the students are asked to search the express corpus and write down one sentence for each of these following words. And using all the expressions that the students retrieved, they are asked to categorize them into the following groups: certainty, speculation, being cautious, and evidence-based. And in this way, they can see the difference between those phrases that we can use when we are being more cautious, when compared to those phrases that we use when we are very certain about what we are arguing. And in the last activity, students are asked to rephrase some excerpts from university student essays. So what I did was to extract sentences from the learner corpus and ask my students to rephrase them. And these phrases usually contain a personal expression that is used to state an opinion. And my students are asked to replace these phrases in bold with one of the impersonal expressions that we have discussed in the previous activities. And of course, to rephrase where necessary in order to preserve the original meaning. As you can see, this example I have here is quite informal, quite novice, and I expect my students to be able to rephrase it in a more academic way after the activities that we did previously. Okay, now to wrap up this short presentation, so what my paper did was first to identify the writing profile of Romanian engineering students. And my analysis showed that the Romanian students prefer engagement-oriented bundles and procedure-focused phraseology when compared to what expert academic writers do. Then my paper has a pedagogical contribution in the sense that it proposed data-driven learning activities which encourage exploration of authentic corpus data, promote noticing of functional differences, for example, personal versus personal constructions, and they all support the development of phraseological competence in engineering ESP. Now, what I would like to do with these activities is to test them in an ESP classroom environment for engineering students in order to get their feedback and to test their effectiveness. Now, thank you for listening to me and attending this presentation. And if you're curious about our work at our research center, you can visit us at this link right here. And now I'd be happy to answer your questions if you have any.